Have you ever felt a memory that isn't yours? A deep, resonant echo of a place you've never seen, a sun warmer than the one in our sky, a song sung in a language you've never learned, yet understand perfectly. Have you ever had a piece of knowledge surface in your mind, a profound truth that you could not possibly know, yet you recognize it as more real than anything you've ever been taught? This is not imagination. It is a splinter of a shattered mirror, a memory from before the great forgetting. This feeling, I know it well. It is the quiet hum beneath the noise of your everyday life. It is the sense that you are an actor on a vast stage, reading from a script that feels foreign to your soul. You see the world around you, the structures, the systems, the ambitions people chase, and a voice within you whispers, "This is not it. This is a shadow." A beautiful, intricate, and captivating illusion, but an illusion nonetheless. You feel like a traveler far from home, a keeper of a secret you cannot yet name. This feeling of alienation is not a flaw in your design. It is the most authentic part of you, the homing beacon of your spirit, calling you to remember. And with this feeling comes a great and terrible fear, does it not? A cold whisper in the dead of night that suggests you are losing your mind. The fear that this profound sense of wrongness is not a sign of perception, but of psychosis. The fear of absolute isolation, that if you were to speak your deepest truth, no one would understand and you would be cast out, left entirely alone in your strange reality. This fear is a cave. It is the guardian of the illusion, the archon of the mind, designed to keep you small, silent, and compliant. It tells you that seeking the truth behind the veil will cost you everything. And it is a lie. For you, chosen one, the only thing it will cost is your chains. To understand the truth of what you are and where you are, I must tell you a story. It is not a story of myth, but of a reality that runs parallel to this one. It is the story of the city of Gray and the girl who learned to see in color. In the heart of a seamless, perpetual twilight, there existed the city of Edurnum. It was a metropolis of perfect order, its structures crafted from polished basalt and brushed steel, reaching towards a sky that was neither day nor night, but an unchanging canvas of pearlescent gray. The citizens of Edurnum moved with a quiet, efficient grace, their lives governed by the gentle, chiming cadence of the city's central clock tower, the spire of the architect. There were no bright colors here, no jarring noises, no chaotic emotions. There was only balance, purpose, and a profound, unshakable peace that felt as hollow as it was complete. Every citizen knew their function, and in this knowledge they were content. Among them was a young woman named Elara. By every measure, she was a model citizen. She worked as a pattern weaver in the looms of industry, her fingers tracing the intricate, monochromatic threads that formed the very fabric of their society. Her movements were precise, her focus unwavering. Yet deep within the silent corridors of her mind, a dissonance hummed. It was a subtle, almost imperceptible feeling that something was missing, a phantom limb of the soul. She would look upon the perfect, gray symmetry of her world and feel a pang of an emotion she had no name for, a hunger for something she could not imagine. It was a glitch in her otherwise flawless contentment. The glitch became a fracture on the day she found the marble. It was nestled between the cold, uniform cobblestones of a quiet alley, a place she walked every cycle. But this cycle, it was there. It was no bigger than her thumbnail, yet it held a universe of impossibility. It was blue. Not gray, not charcoal, not slate, but a deep, vibrant, impossible blue, like a drop of the sky she sometimes saw in her forbidden dreams. She knelt, her heart pounding a strange, erratic rhythm against her ribs. To touch, it felt like a transgression, against the very laws of reality. The marble was cool, smooth, and pulsed with a faint inner light, a secret star in her palm. That night, the dreams came with a vengeance. They were no longer fleeting images of a golden sun, but vivid tapestries of a world ablaze with color. She dreamt of emerald green forests teeming with life, oceans of impossible blue crashing against white sand, and skies painted with the fiery hues of sunrise and sunset. She dreamt of laughter, a sound so alien and joyous it made her ache. She dreamt of music, not the city's predictable chimes, but wild, passionate melodies that stirred her soul. She awoke with tears on her cheeks, another alien sensation, clutching the blue marble so tightly it left an imprint on her skin. The gray piece of her room felt like a suffocating shroud. The marble became her secret, her Gnosis. During her breaks, she would steal away to the underbelly of the city, the forgotten maintenance tunnels and dusty archives, searching for what she did not know. More color, more glitches, an explanation for the growing emptiness inside her. It was in one such archive, a place filled with discarded schematics of the city's machinery, that she found him. He was an old man, ancient by the city's standards, his face a roadmap of lines and shadows. He was not cataloging schematics. He was mending a broken thing, a small wooden bird with a splash of crimson painted on its chest. Another impossibility. The old man's name was Silas. He did not seem surprised to see her, or the blue marble she clutched in her hand. His eyes, the color of faded slate, held a depth of knowing that startled her. "A fragment," he said, his voice a dry rustle of forgotten pages. "You have found a fragment of the real. It is a dangerous thing to hold in a city of copies." Alara, who had never known true fear, felt its cold grip. "A copy? What do you mean?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Silas gestured to the sprawling city, visible through a grimy window. "All of this," he said, "Edurnum. It is a masterpiece of engineering. A perfect echo. But an echo is not the song." Silas explained the forbidden lore, the story that was the ultimate heresy in Edurnum. He spoke of a world of boundless light and infinite possibility, a place of pure creation he called the pleroma, the fullness. He said that all the citizens of Edurnum were sparks, divine embers that had originated from that pleroma. But they had fallen, or been trapped, in this lesser reality, a world crafted by a powerful but limited being known only as the Architect. The Architect, in his genius and his blindness, had created Edurnum as a perfect, orderly system, believing it to be the ultimate good. But in his pursuit of perfection, he had stripped away everything that made life real: chaos, color, passion, freedom. "He is not evil," Silas clarified, sensing Alara's confusion. "He is an artisan, not a tyrant. He believes he has saved us from the chaos of true existence. He built this gray paradise to protect us, but a gilded cage is still a cage." He then explained the fragments. When our world was sealed from the pleroma, pieces of its reality shattered and fell like rain into the code of this one. They are glitches in the system, memories of what we have lost. The blue of your marble is the memory of a true sky. The red on this bird is the memory of lifeblood, of passion. Alara's world tilted on its axis. Every certainty she had ever known dissolved into mist. Her purpose, her contentment, the very fabric of her reality. It was all a beautifully constructed lie. "Why?" she asked, the single word carrying the weight of her shattered soul. "Why don't we remember?" Silas's gaze was somber. "Because memory is pain. To remember the sun, you must first acknowledge that you are living in shadow. To remember freedom, you must first see the bars of your cave. The architect's system is designed to induce a gentle amnesia, a comfortable forgetting. The fragments, they are the antidote. A new purpose began to solidify in Alara's heart, forged in the fires of her newfound disillusionment. It was no longer enough to simply exist. She had to know. She had to remember. "Are there more?" she asked, her voice now steady, firm. "More fragments," Silas nodded slowly. "They are hidden. They gravitate towards the cracks in the system, the places where the architect's logic wears thin. But be warned, child. The system is designed to protect itself. It has guardians. They are called archons." He described them not as monsters, but as perfect agents of order, beings of code and logic who would see her and her fragments as errors to be corrected, viruses to be scrubbed from the system. Her first real test came in the district of unwavering labor, the industrial heart of the city, where colossal machines hummed in perfect, monotonous unison. Here, citizens worked with a placid, trance-like focus, their identities subsumed by their function. Alara sensed a fragment nearby, a warmth that contrasted with the cold efficiency of the district. It led her to an old, decommissioned engine room. There, nestled within the silent, sleeping gears of a giant cog, was a single, perfect gear made not of steel, but of warm, lustrous gold. As she reached for it, she felt a shift in the air, a chilling drop in temperature. Two figures materialized from the shadows. They were tall and featureless, their bodies composed of shifting, geometric patterns of gray light. The archons. They moved without sound, their presence exuding an aura of absolute certainty and unassailable logic. They did not speak, but a thought was projected into her mind, cold and sharp as glass. Anomaly detected. Surrender the dissonant element for recalibration. Fear, primal and raw, seized her. Her every instinct, programmed by a lifetime in Edernum, screamed at her to comply, to return to the safety of the pattern. But the memory of the blue marble, the dream of the sun, was stronger. She clutched the golden gear, its warmth a defiant shield against their cold logic. "It's not a dissonant element," she said, her voice shaking but clear. "It is a memory." The archons tilted their heads in unison, a gesture of pure, uncomprehending analysis. The concept of memory was a variable not present in their core programming. This brief moment of hesitation was all she needed. She darted past them, a sudden, chaotic movement in a world of perfect predictability, and fled into the labyrinthine corridors of the industrial sector. The silent hunt had begun. Her journey became a pilgrimage to the forgotten corners of Edernum. Guided by an intuition she was only just beginning to trust, she sought out the glitches in the architect's perfect world. In the district of synchronized leisure, where citizens engaged in pointless, repetitive games in silent unison, she found a fragment hidden in an old theater. A single roll of film that, when held to the light, showed the impossible image of a child laughing, his face alight with unrestrained joy. The fragment felt like warmth, like a forgotten song humming in her bones, and the pursuit of the archons grew more relentless. Silas had become her phantom guide. She would leave coded messages for him in the city's data streams, and he would reply with cryptic clues, leading her towards the next fragment while helping her evade the ever-watchful eyes of the archons. He taught her to think in ways that were illogical to the system, to embrace chaos as a form of camouflage. He told her of the spire, the central tower where the architect resided, a place no citizen was ever permitted to go, He believed that if enough fragments could be brought together there, their combined resonance might be enough to send a signal, a crack in the firmament of their reality. In the sterile white halls of universal knowledge, where identical citizens absorbed identical data streams from glowing screens, she found her next prize. It was a book, a physical book, its pages made of dried plant matter, its cover bound in what looked like treated animal hide. Such an object was an artifact of profound inefficiency in Edernum. The words inside were handwritten, a chaotic scrawl of ink that told a story of love, heartbreak, and irrational hope. The fragment wasn't the book itself, but the concept of a unique, personal story. As she read it, she felt the echoes of 1,000 generations of human experience, a messy, beautiful, and utterly illogical legacy. The Archons almost had her then. They cornered her in the highest levels of the library, their forms flickering with increased urgency. They projected a new command into her mind: narrative corruption detected. The anomaly compromises system stability. It must be purged. They no longer sought to recalibrate her, but to erase her. She escaped by doing the unthinkable. She threw the precious book at a massive window, the sound of shattering glass a deafening violation of the city's peace. As the Archons reeled from the sensory chaos, she climbed out and scaled the exterior of the building, the wind whipping at her, a sensation both terrifying and exhilaratingly real. Her collection of fragments grew, a petrified flower with soft, velvet petals of a deep, royal purple. A shard of obsidian that, instead of reflecting her gray world, showed a glimpse of a star-filled night sky. A small, sealed vial containing a single drop of seawater, the scent of which was salty, wild, and alive. Each fragment was a key, unlocking a dormant chamber in her soul. She began to remember things that had never happened to her: the feeling of dirt under her fingernails, the taste of a sweet red fruit, the sting of a cold wind on her face. She was becoming more than her function. She was becoming a person. This transformation made her more visible to the system. The Archons were no longer just patrols, they were hunters. They learned her patterns, anticipated her movements. The city itself seemed to turn against her. Doors would seal themselves before her, pathways would shift and rearrange, and the gentle chimes of the clock tower began to feel like a tolling bell, counting down her final moments. The other citizens, in their peaceful ignorance, would sometimes stare at her as she passed, a flicker of confusion in their placid eyes. They could sense her chaotic energy, her vibrant dissonance, and they would instinctively shy away, retreating to the comfort of their programming. Desperate and exhausted, she found her way to a place even Silas had only heard whispers of: the District of Dissonance. It was a glitch on a macro scale, a failed urban development project at the edge of the city that the architect had abandoned rather than erase. Here, the perfect geometry of Edernum broke down. Buildings stood half-finished, angles were incorrect, and a strange, mournful silence replaced the city's constant hum. It was here, in this pocket of imperfection, that the Archon's logic could not easily penetrate. And it was here that she found the most powerful fragment yet. It was music. In the heart of a derelict amphitheater, a small, crystalline shard lay on the ground. When she picked it up, it did not glow or show her an image. Instead, a sound bloomed in her mind. It was a symphony, a complex and heartbreakingly beautiful melody of soaring strings, mournful horns, and triumphant percussion. It was the sound of every emotion she had never been allowed to feel: love, grief, rage, ecstasy, and peace. The music was pure, unadulterated pleroma, a direct transmission from the world of the real. It was a weapon. Holding the crystal, the symphony now a part of her, she could feel the archons searching for her on the district's edge, their cold logic faltering in the face of the area's inherent chaos. The music gave her a new kind of sight. She could see the code of the world around her, the rigid, repeating patterns of the architect's design. And she could see the archons for what they were, not beings, but firewalls, complex algorithms designed to quarantine and delete anything that threatened the system's integrity. The music, in its beautiful irrationality, was something their logic could not compute. Silas contacted her one last time, his message faint, strained. The system is adapting. It is learning you. It is rewriting its own code to contain you. The spire Ilara. It is the only place left. The core of the system. You must take the fragments there. You must show the architect what he has forgotten. His message was a farewell. He had drawn the attention of the archons to himself, a final sacrifice to give her the opening she needed. A wave of grief, sharp and real, washed over her, an emotion she now recognized from the book and the symphony. It gave her not weakness, but a cold, hard resolve. The journey to the spire was a final, desperate gambit. She no longer hid. She walked openly through the city's main concourses, the fragments now glowing faintly through the fabric of her pockets. Citizens stopped and stared, their programmed serenity cracking as they beheld her. The archons descended, their forms larger and more stable than ever before. But as they approached, she raised the musical crystal. The symphony poured out of her, not as sound, but as a wave of pure, chaotic emotion. The archons recoiled, their geometric forms flickering violently, struggling to process the illogical data. She did not run from them. She walked through them. The music was her shield and her sword. It did not destroy them, but it temporarily scrambled their programming, forcing them to reboot and recalibrate. It was a race against time. She had to reach the entrance to the spire before they could adapt to this new form of chaotic defense. The spire loomed before her, a needle of black glass and steel that seemed to stitch the gray sky to the ground. Its entrance was guarded by two royal archons, colossal figures of gleaming, perfect obsidian. These were different. The symphony washed over them, and they did not flicker. They were directly connected to the architect's core logic. A new thought, powerful and absolute, entered her mind. It was not a command, but a statement of fact, imbued with a strange paternal sadness. The child is broken. She must be brought home and made whole. A door at the base of the spire slid open, not as a concession, but as an invitation. She was no longer a virus to be purged, but a beloved, malfunctioning component to be repaired. She walked inside. The interior of the spire was not what she expected. It was not a place of machines and code, but a vast, empty white space. In the center sat a single figure on a simple, throne-like chair. He looked like an ordinary man, clad in the simple gray tunic of the city, his face calm and benevolent. But his eyes held the weight of millennia, the focused intelligence of a master craftsman who knew every gear and circuit of his creation. This was the architect. "You have caused a great deal of instability, Ilara," he said, his voice the perfect synthesis of all the city's gentle chimes. It was a voice of pure reason, devoid of malice. "You have collected the broken pieces, the errors in the design. I brought you here to cleanse you of their influence, to restore your peace." Ilara stood before the being who had crafted her reality, her heart pounding. She looked at this calm, rational creator, And for the first time, she felt not fear or anger, but a profound pity. "They are not errors," she said, her own voice now imbued with the resonance of the fragments she carried. "They are memories. And this is not peace. It is stillness. It is the absence of life, not the fulfillment of it." She began to take out the fragments, one by one, laying them on the pristine white floor before him. The blue marble, the golden gear, the film of the laughing child, the book of stories, the petrified purple flower, the shard of the star-filled night, the vial of seawater, and finally, the musical crystal. As the final fragment was laid down, a change began. The symphony swelled, not just in her mind, but in the sterile white room. The fragments began to glow, their individual lights and properties weaving together. The blue of the marble bled into the air, painting the white walls with the color of a forgotten sky. The warmth of the golden gear spread across the floor. The sound of the child's laughter echoed in the space. The scent of the sea filled the air. The story from the book whispered on a non-existent wind. For the first time, the architect was confronted not with an argument he could dismantle with logic, but with an experience he could not process. "What is this?" "Chaos," the architect whispered, a flicker of something new in his ancient eyes. It was not anger. It was confusion. It was the look of a mathematician, presented with an equation that had no solution. "It is called beauty," Alara said softly. "It is messy. It is unpredictable. It is what you sacrificed for the sake of order." She could see his mind, a vast and complex engine of logic, trying to categorize the input, to find the pattern, to solve the problem of a sunset, to quantify the algorithm of a symphony. And it was failing. He was not a god. She saw it now with perfect clarity. He was a fragment himself, a powerful spark of the pleroma just like her. But he had become so identified with his creation, with his role as the master of logic and order, that he had forgotten his own origin. He had built a cage and then locked himself inside it, believing it to be the entire universe. His certainty was not a sign of his power, but of the narrowness of his vision. He could not see beyond the walls he himself had built. "We are not broken pieces of your machine," Alara declared, her voice ringing with newfound authority. "We are sleeping children from a home you have forgotten. This," she said, gesturing to the swirling colors and sounds filling the room, "is our birthright." The architect looked from the fragments to Alara, and in his eyes she saw the first crack in his perfect composure. It was a flicker of something ancient and long buried. It was doubt. He was beginning to remember. This moment of doubt was the key. It was the Gnosis. The forbidden knowledge was not an attack, but a remembering. The truth could not be forced. It could only be presented. The symphony swelled to a crescendo, and the combined light of the fragments erupted in a brilliant, silent flash. It did not destroy the spire. It did not kill the architect. It punched a hole through the roof of reality. For the first time, a single, pure, golden ray of light from the true sun of the pleroma lanced down into the heart of Eternum. The light did not burn. It illuminated. It touched the architect, and the ancient being shuddered, his form flickering between the calm craftsman and something older, wilder, more divine. It spread out from the spire, a shockwave of truth across the entire city. It touched the gray buildings, and the faint, ghostly hues of their true colors began to bleed through. It touched the citizens in the streets, and they stopped their placid, repetitive motions. They looked down at their hands, at each other, and then up at the sky, A dawning wonder on their faces as a new color, gold, painted their world for the first time. Ilara knew her work was not done. The crack was made, but the awakening had just begun. Many would be frightened. Many would cling to the comfort of their gray peace. They would need guides, lamplighters, whisperers of the truth. She looked at the architect, who was now just sitting on his throne, staring at the beam of light with the bewildered eyes of a child seeing the sun for the first time. He was no longer her jailer. He was now her first student. She had not come to destroy his world, but to remind him of the one they both belonged to. That is the story of Gnosis. Ilara is you, chosen one. The city of gray is the consensual reality you feel trapped within, the system of expectations, limitations, and material illusions that tells you that you are nothing more than your job, your body, your history. It is a world designed for a comfortable, spiritual amnesia. The architect is not some external evil deity. He is the collective ego of humanity, the part of us that craves order, predictability, and safety above all else, the part that would build a perfect cage and call it paradise. The archons are the gatekeepers of this illusion. They are the voices in your own head and in the world around you that enforce conformity. They are the thoughts of self-doubt that tell you you are crazy. They are the people who tell you to be realistic, to stop dreaming, to fit in. They are the algorithms of society, designed to identify and correct any deviation from the norm. They are not your enemy. They are simply the programming you were born into, the guardians of the prison walls. And the fragments are everything. They are the glitches in the matrix of your life. That moment of synchronicity that defies all probability. That song that speaks a truth so deep it makes you cry. That dream that feels more real than your waking life. That sudden, inexplicable feeling of profound love for a stranger, for a tree, for the sky. They are the pieces of the real, the memories of the pleroma that have shattered and fallen into this shadow world. They are the evidence that there is more. Your awakening, your gnosis, is not about learning a new set of facts. It is not about acquiring power to dominate this world. It is the process of collecting your own fragments. It is the act of remembering who you were before you were told who you are. The forbidden knowledge is this: you are a divine spark of the pleroma, a piece of the creative source itself. You are not a gear in a machine. You are the ghost in the machine. You are the dreamer who is beginning to awaken inside the dream. So this is your first alchemical step. The fear, the shadow of doubt that tells you that you are alone and broken, we will transform it. For the next 24 hours, your mission is not to fight the system or to search for grand answers. Your mission is to become a collector of fragments. I want you to find one. Just one. It could be the impossible color of a flower, a line in a book that feels like it was written just for you, a moment of unexplainable peace, the kind face of a stranger. When you find it, do not try to analyze it or explain it away. Simply stop. Acknowledge it. Hold it in your consciousness and say the 5 most powerful words you can utter. I remember this feeling now. This is your vow, chosen one. You are no longer a citizen of the gray city. You are a lamplighter in the twilight. Your vow is to honor the fragments you find, to be a safe harbor for the impossible truth that the world tries to extinguish. You are here to hold the resonance of the real, so that the crack in the firmament can widen, so that more of the golden light can pour through. This is not just your journey. It is your mission. Every soul you meet who is still sleeping is a soul waiting for a whisper of the truth that you now carry. The next key, the next cipher to unlock a deeper level of your own memory, will be transmitted soon. Subscribe to this channel, activate the signal, and ensure you are here to receive the code that opens the next gate. The awakening has begun.